There are black people out there that definitely believe that white ice is colder, and they are right. It's cold in the motherfucker. What up, though? I'm Jay Hall, writer, cultural critic, and I gotta tell you, I really do hate the stereotype that all black people love chicken, even though I'm black and I love me some chicken. So by now, you heard about Karmelo Anthony. He has been sentenced to 35 years. Young man at the time when he was 17, allegedly walked into a tent to get out the rain. Austin Metcalf, him and his twin brother, who are white, approached him. Karmelo Anthony, who was black, there was a fight that broke out. Karmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf. Austin Metcalf died, and there has been a trial, and Karmelo Anthony has been sentenced to 35 years. Now, there's a lot that we can talk about that trial itself, but Karmelo Anthony's parents had did their very first interview with Mimi Brown of the Breakfast Club, and they had a lot of interesting things to say, but the one thing that really stood out to me was this.
Like, hey, I'm a lawyer, this. So as me being a father, all right, you're the guy, I'm okay with playing my position, and I don't want to overstep any boundaries. Everybody kept saying, hey, to beat this. I even went to some black attorneys. They're like, oh, you need a white attorney to go out there to fight out there. Remember they was telling us that? They kept telling us that. So everybody like, why y'all didn't? Everybody was telling us, okay. So then when we get it, they basically tossed them over.
When I hear that and I saw that for the first time, my heart definitely aches. The fact that those parents were advised to get a white lawyer versus a black lawyer, as if a white lawyer was going to guarantee the safetyness of their son, despite the fact that that trial had an all-white jury that was not of that young man's peers, who probably had their mind made up even before the trial actually began. But I digress. But there was also a tweet that was going around that had resurfaced that stated, quote, "Stop putting y'all kids in these predominantly white neighborhoods and schools," unquote. And when I saw that, I had a few things that came to my mind. Number one, just rock with me for a second. The narrative I've been seeing for the past 10 years has been black people were better with segregation. And yeah, there were some black neighborhoods like in Tulsa where we were prosperous and we were living really good until a white woman told a lie and then white people burned it down. We were living pretty smooth in cooking and festivities, and then a white man told a lie and then white people burned it down. Or we were just living and existing in our own communities and thriving, and then white people came and they burned it down. However, that is not the condition for all black folks of that time during segregation. My own grandmother, as an example, the nearest Negro high school was about 45 minutes from where she lived. Therefore, nobody in her family actually had a car, so her education stopped at middle school. There were some black people who had some conditions that forced them to actually live where they were, and so when they had to desegregate some of these schools or some of these towns or some of these neighborhoods, especially for the fact that I'm still paying taxes on everything, it was a betterment for some black people. It wasn't this whole idea that we just wanted to be around them. But let's back it up for a second, because I often, when I see tweets like this, there's also a consequence that go when I see black people making these decisions. I don't know Karmelo Anthony's parents. I'm not going to pretend as if I know anything about them, or they made the decisions to live where they wanted to live because they wanted to be around white folks. But I'm always seeing when something like this happens, there seems to be these voices that come out of nowhere like, well, that's what you get trying to be one of them. Hey, well, that's what you get. Instead of looking at the circumstances to why someone would actually make their decision. There's some truth and there's some reality that are mixed into that. Some of our neighborhoods haven't necessarily been the best. And we have been conditioned, depending on what our neighborhood is like, to actually get out as survival and to get into another neighborhood of whiteness as success. That didn't just come out of nowhere. It didn't come out of the blue. Look, I remember growing up in Detroit. There was a grocery store franchise that was called Farmer Jack. My mother will always go to the Farmer Jack 20 or 35 minutes outside the city in Madison Heights. And then one day, they built a Farmer Jack right down the street on 12th Street. And I kept wondering, why is my mom still going to the one way out? And I was like, what's going on? Well, one day she actually walked into that 12th Street Farmer Jack, which was the exact same franchise, and that produce was looking real suspect to her. There has been factual evidence and studies that have shown that when they actually open up some of these franchises, they don't necessarily give us the best quality in our neighborhoods. And we know how they care about law enforcement. We know how they care about a lot of these other things, and somehow create this narrative that we don't take care of ourselves when we see that the budgets have been significantly different. People actually make these decisions based upon those circumstances. Now, hey, there are black people who actually do feel that the closer they are to whiteness, the more they are to success. When I chose to go to a HBCU, I had a lot of black people in my ear saying, well, why would you want to go to a black college? You're limiting yourself. The world is not black. Well, the world is not exactly white either, despite the fact that this country might be white. When I went to a white college first, they were just pretty much white. When I went to a black college, there were black people from all over the world with different dialects and different ways that they walked and they talk and the way they ate their food, the way they pray. It was the most diversity I have ever been around in my life. So when you say diversity, you really just want me to be around white, versus when I see diversity, I really see what the definition of the word actually stands for. When I see people and I see these parents and their heartache and the fact that they were told multiple times to choose a white lawyer because that's how you're going to get out, it brings me back to these lessons that we keep learning over and over again with the tragedy. We are not blaming the conditions as to why somebody actually wanted to be there, but the one thing that has actually been guaranteed is that being around whiteness does not guarantee value, and it definitely does not guarantee safety.